Hey everyone, Sumo Spiffy here. Haru Basho 2022, all done. As I record this, it's the Friday after the Basho. I wanted to get this out a lot earlier, but I kept having ideas, things I wanted to add in, things I wanted to talk about, and it led me down the research path. And all of that stuff kind of gets away from the idea of just doing a simple wrap up. So I'm going to keep it nice and easy, try to get through this relatively quickly for as much as I like to talk, and I will save those other ideas for other videos. So for now, we've got our zoomed in Banzuke, we've got Telestrator software, yay! So let's get into it. Because this is a fantasy focused channel, we're probably going to go over a lot of the wrestlers, but I'm going to do it bracket by bracket and see how the expected picks worked out, who was a surprise for better or for worse, and why those surprises may have happened. Starting at the top, Ozeki and Yokozuna. All of this pretty much played as expected. Now, if you didn't listen to the first one or didn't watch the first video, you might be like, wait a minute, you picked Terunofuji. How did this possibly play to expectations? Well, I said in that video, I think Terunofuji is the best wrestler here, and I think he definitely is. There's really no question about that. The only thing is he going to get hurt? Is he going to make it through the whole thing? Because a Yokozuna is incentivized to drop out if he's not feeling up to it. And that is exactly what happened. It was an absolute disaster. So that's a big Telestrator red boo. But it wasn't completely unexpected. Now we know for next time, he's going to be very difficult to trust in the near future. Mitakeumi is almost certainly going to be the pick. But let's save Mitakeumi for a second. Shodai. Holy cow. This dude had no business going from this to this. He was doomed. His Ozeki status was doomed. It was a question whether he was going to sail out of Sekiwake all the way down to the bottom of Maegashira, maybe. I mean, that might be overstating it a bit, but he looked awful. He looked absolutely depressed. I mentioned it in other videos, and I'll mention it again here. I really did wonder if he was suffering from some kind of depression because he looked just completely out of it. And I felt bad for nicknaming him the Sad Ozeki in that moment. Here, though, he came back and he got 8 wins in 9 fights. It was incredible. So he should get a green, but really you're an Ozeki. You should do better than 9 sometimes. He just gets a big surprise face. That's my reaction there. Takayasu is just going to be a little bit of a yellow sad face because he only went 8-7. He lost his last 4 fights. He fought well. He got out of Kataban status. He didn't stop attacking. He kept going after people. He just didn't win. And for him, that happens sometimes. There are good wrestlers around him. Mitakeumi obviously has stepped up. Wakatakakage, we'll get to him in a minute. But Takayasu, 8-7 is a thing that can happen to him. He'll probably do better next time. And then Mitakeumi, checkmark, pretty much as expected. 11 wins, more or less on point. Figured 10 or 11 was the probable outcome for him. Everything's fine there. Sekiwake and Komusubi. I figured Abi was going to be the most likely person. If you look at the Kachi Clash pick numbers, you'll see that's what most people were going for too. But that's not how that worked out. And it's really stunning because Wakatakakage he won 8 or 9 fights at, High Maegashira for 3 straight tournaments. And this is probably something I'm going to make a video about in more detail. But basically, not a lot of guys have gone from 3 tournaments straight of 8 or 9 wins to winning 12 or more over the course of sumo history. The ones that have mostly ended up achieving great things, but it's not common. Wakatakakage 12 wins, won the Yusho. Good for him. Big congratulations. Gigantic. Holy cow. But big check marks for the people who picked him, because fantastic job. Abi, 8-7. This is probably what you can expect from him. Is he capable of more? Yeah. Is he capable of having a losing record and dropping? Definitely. He was going real well. He was beating the High Maegashira guys. Then he lost to Terunofuji for some reason and ended up running into Wakatakakage and Mitakayumi right after that. That was kind of a buzzsaw. He's definitely capable of doing 10 or 11 wins. I don't think he's Ozeki level at this point, but he's fine. Takayasu, oh, what happened, Takayasu? He's up and down at these top ranks, but 4-11, even for him, is really, really bad. This was a stunningly bad tournament for several people, but 4-11 is not what you expect from anybody at this level, especially someone who's been there for a while. So that was unfortunate. And Hoshoryu, he was fighting real hard, fighting real well at the start, and it just wasn't working out. Got 4 out of 5 towards the end, got to keep his Komusubi rank. It's well deserved. So, ding, good job. Let's talk about Maegashira 1 through 5. Okay. In the spirit of the Spiffing Brit, I have tea with me. I'm going to take a sip before I get started on this. Oh. Well, let's talk about Daisho first, because he was my other pick. He was my risk-reward pick, and for most of the Basho, he looked like risk. He was 5-7, it wasn't looking good, pulled off 3 wins at the end, ended up with a winning record. He'll take Takayasu's spot in Komusubi. Great, well done. Ura, not real surprising that he went 4-11. This is actually what I expected last time. Now, because he's so popular, don't get fooled by the popular picks. Everyone loves him. Everyone wants him to do well. But he's not built for this level. He just isn't going to do well at Maegashira 1 or 2. He's probably going to keep bouncing between, 4, 5, and maybe 7 and 8. And at those 7 and 8 ranks, he's probably a decent pick. Like, up here, though, he's not the guy. Ichinojo, good. He's always capable of doing this kind of thing. Snorlax went to sleep under the last 2 fights, though. Over the last 2 fights. Don't know what I'm saying. Tamawashi and Terunofuji, I always forget that one guy is one guy and the other guy is the other guy. I can never tell them apart. I just remember that they're both on the older side, probably getting near the end of their careers, have had stronger performances at higher ranks in this. They're probably going to stick around for a little while longer, but this is about normal for them at this point. Onisho, Maegashira 3, 6-9, pretty much exactly what you expect from this guy. Kirabayama had the first win against Wakatakakage. I guess it's more correct to say he was Wakatakakage's first loss. He did great. He did a fantastic job. Now, he got a little lucky towards the end of the Basho. His schedule, in terms of rank, ramped way, way down. And I ended up doing some research into that. I would like to make a video about that at some point. It was very interesting. But basically, he fought 4 guys in his last 5 fights who were Maegashira 9 or below. They were doing well. That's why they were matched up with him, because he was also doing well, and they were going more by record. But it was real interesting to see a guy who was having a very good tournament all of a sudden get matched with people who they may have been on a roll, but they shouldn't have been considered good matchups for him on a skill level. Endo, 8-7, fine. Ishiura, I feel really bad for him. I said he wasn't going to get 5 wins, and he didn't. I didn't want it to happen this way. I don't want to see a guy get hurt. I didn't expect him to get literally yeeted out of the tournament by Kotonowaka. But, it's the kind of thing that happens. Now, this telestrator's real cool. And one thing that I don't see on professional telestrators that this actually has is a text function. And I'd like to use that now to explain my thoughts on Meisei's performance. And it goes something like this. Yeah. WTF, mate. What the hell happened? I said on one of the dailies during the Basho that Meisei, I have never seen someone fight as poorly as Meisei who was not on some kind of drugs. Now, I don't intend to talk about myself much on this channel, but just for sake of explaining that comment, I do participate in kickboxing. I have sparred a large number of times. Me and some of my teammates have traveled to gyms, an hour or so away, and some of them like to smoke weed on the trip. They fight better than Meisei did in this tournament. They spar better than Meisei fought in this tournament. I don't understand what the hell was going on. 1 in 14 is absurd. And it's worth noting, bing, magical editing cut. So this is off of a query on the Sumo database. Everyone in Sumo history who went 1 in 14 in the Makuuchi division, but was a high enough rank to stay in the Makuuchi division for the next tournament. A lot of them went back to Juryo. So some of these were back in the day. You see, they dropped to Megashira 16, 19. The game was different back then. The last time this happened was in 2015, Ikkyo. In 2010, Aran did it, but you see that it's happened through Sumo's history. It doesn't happen much, obviously, but it does happen. Here's what I want to draw your attention to. Look at these records after the 1 in 14. Everybody has a winning record for the last 40 years until you get to Terunofuji, who went 3 and 12 in 1981. Obviously, I'm accepting Daishoho, who in 1996 went 2 and 2 in his next tournament and then dropped out. He didn't get to the end. I don't think that one counts. So even though Meisei did horribly and looked like he didn't even know what he was doing anymore, he should drop into the bottom bracket for fantasy purposes, and he should actually be a really good pick. A lot of people are going to shy away from him because it's like, I don't know what to expect from this guy. Can he even fight anymore? If we don't get word of an injury, and let's be clear, an injury is absolutely possible, he should be able to at least manage a winning record. And considering the best wrestlers in the bottom bracket in this tournament were 9 and 6, 8 and 7 is a fine outcome. Oh, but man, that was frustrating. He really was, by record, by his history, the safest bet in this bracket, and it all fell apart. Very disappointing. Maegashira 6 through 10. Hokuto Fuji pretty much did what I expected him to. Now, he had to win 5 out of his last 6 matches to do it, but this was more or less what I thought he was going to end up doing. Katonowaka, yeah, he was capable of this, but was he actually going to do it? His history gave us no clues. His history up to this point said that when he gets to this rank, he starts to struggle. Now, he looked like a different wrestler last time. The way he fought Abi especially was like, oh man, he might have figured it out. But there was no way to tell. So I thought of him as a riskier pick. Obviously, he ended up doing fantastic. Takayasu, he's an ex-Ozeki, but his history has been one of, injuries and falling off and coming back and falling off and coming back. And it's like, okay, is he healed? Yeah, he's healed. Wow. Like, big, giant, surprise face. Holy cow, Takayasu. I'm drawing the arrow on Hokuto Fuji. I really got to get used to this Telestrator stuff. It's a lot of fun, but I'm not very good with it yet. Now, obviously, the people who picked these two guys were a lot smarter than me, and there were a lot of them, but these 3 guys were the cream of the crop, as expected. Now, sticking with Hokuto Fuji was Tobizaru, which, everyone loves Tobizaru. Everybody loves them some flying monkey, so that's cool. And Wakamoto Haru, who he's so new to the division and so known still for being Wakatakakage's older brother that it's like, okay, well, what is this guy going to do? He's still killing it. He's still doing really well. His wins over Kirabayama and Endo were the difference between his Kachikoshi and Habanamaki Koshi, and he looked fantastic. He looked phenomenal in those fights. So good for him. I think going forward, I'm going to have to give this some thought, but I am very much and if you've heard anything I've talked about with fantasy, you've probably figured this out. I prefer guys who have proven themselves, and obviously he's had no chance to do that. We'll have to see how far up the Banzuke he goes. If he's at like Maegashira 6, I think he's got a much better chance of continuing to put up a decent score than if they push him up to 5. I don't think he's going to go to 5, though. We can talk about that down the road. Aoyama, 7 and 8 at Maegashira 10, pretty much expected. Shimanoumi, 8 and 7, yeah, pretty much how he does. Chiyoshoma, like, sadness for Chiyoshoma. This is an 8-win guy at this level. For him to only have 5, we have to look at the next tournament to really see what to expect from him. He's probably going to drop to like Maegashira 12, 13, depending on how everything shakes out. If he still struggles there, this might be the end of the line for him. If he comes back, great. He's kind of fun to watch. He's just a guy. You look at him and he is the most nondescript dude in sumo. He's just a guy. He's just a guy who walks in there and then he kicks you in the leg over and over and tries to make you fall down. I want to see him stick around for a while, but yeah, who knows? And Okinoumi is kind of in the same boat. Struggling a somewhat surprising amount, although in this tournament, maybe that's not a huge shock considering he had these 3 dudes to deal with right away. But, I mean, he did come back at the end. He won 4 out of 6, but who knows? Okinoumi, because Jason of Jason's All Sumo channel really likes him, for his sake, I hope Okinoumi is able to come back and put up some more strong performances, but hard to say at this point. And let's go to the last one. We've got Maegashira 11 through, let's just hide that rank I had in the tournament because I did horrifically because of freaking Meisei. Okay, Maegashira 11 through 17. Kota Shoho. He was the big pick. Everybody was going for him. So if you do up some quick math, you've got 189 people who picked him. Here you've got, about 118 or 108, 118, 130 here. So more people picked Kota Shoho than almost picked everyone else in the division. That's wild. But he lived up to it. 4 guys went 9 and 6. He was one of them. It's all you can ask. Kotoeko, ooh, that's very nice. Very nice for Kotoeko. I know that's kind of pointing at Myogiryu. Pardon. Nishikigi, little surprising. Should we keep expecting this? I have no idea. He wasn't out of Maegashira for long. This is kind of where he belongs, is maybe the lower end of the division. So I think you can expect him to keep doing decently. Kotakuzan, hey, let's give him a big green check mark, because at 7 and 8 at Maegashira 16, there's a very real chance that he just drops to the bottom of the division but stays in Makuuchi, which is a great story. We get to see him have another chance to stay out of Juryo. That's phenomenal. Tochinoshin, holy cow. I haven't seen that dude. That's the worst arrow in history. Let's get rid of that. I haven't seen Tochinoshin fight like that in, I think, any tournament that I've watched. Now, I've been watching sumo for maybe a year and a half, so it's not that many, but man, he looked on point. He looked real strong. Like he was just, I will not drop to Juryo because pride will demand that I retire, and it's not happening. That was kind of the vibe. He did great. He did absolutely phenomenal. Good for him. Now, on the flip side of things, because everyone else is sort of where you'd expect. Terunofuji 8 and 7, yeah, that's about right. Chiyo Tairyu 7 and 8, yeah, that's about right. Yutakiyama 7 and 8, sure. Ichiyamamoto, like, double check mark for him. He was doing terribly. He looked like he was about to get yeeted right back to Juryo as expected, and then just said no. And then just said, I will not have this. I was listening to Kintamayama's, I hope I'm saying that right, podcast, and he was like, Ichiyamamoto is just like Abi. It's like, well, except smaller and not as good. But hey, he's sticking around, so he's got something in the tank. Well done. Kageyaki is going to drop, and Akawa is going to drop. Oho and, I can't remember who the other guy. So Oho was Juryo 1, and Azumaru, I think it was, when they both went 10 and 5. Azumaru was Juryo 2. those two are going to replace these guys. Midori Fuji went 12-3 at Juryo 6. Now, like I said, we're going to talk about the Banzuke at a later date, but is he going to go from Juryo 6 up to Makauchi? He very well could, if there's somebody that it seems logical to drop out. So Kotokuzan could be that. I'd feel really bad for him. I think Chiyomaru is a little deserving of it. Chiono Kuni was fighting so well that it would be a kind of a disgrace to drop him all the way to Juryo for only having 5 wins when he was absolutely killing it before he got hurt. He was absolutely doing a great job. He was certainly fighting better than Chiyomaru was. So that would be incredibly unfair. And the ranking committee seems to take this sort of stuff into account a little bit when they do their rankings. So I don't think he's at risk. I really do think Kotokuzan's a greater risk than Chiyomaru, but I really think Midori Fuji's just going to be stuck at Juryo 1. He did incredibly well, but he's not going to get pushed up this time. So this is mostly the group of guys that you can expect to see in the next tournament. Terutsuyoshi is probably going to be Maegashira 10. Aoyama's going to come down, but this is most of the bracket. So yeah, that's the recap. We had, on a personal level, one pick that was going just fine until it wasn't. We had one pick that was perfectly adequate and just got outdone by somebody else in the bracket. We had one pick who was doing just fine until, except for the fact that 2 other guys in the bracket were just doing extremely well. We had another who was doing, as well as anyone in his bracket. And then we had this guy. I am just flummoxed. I have no explanation. I'm certain if any news comes out about it, Chris Sumo or someone else will put that out on YouTube. At least I hope so. We'll hear about it, and I will pass that along as I can. But for now, that's the Haru Basho in a very, very large nutshell. I will be back with some research topics, and then the Banzuke, and then the Mei Basho. So, we'll see you soon. Have a great day.